Hello, this is the minor Dave Everist Report, and I'm going to talk about what the Siskiyou County Planning Department is doing. I'll share the details in the description. But basically, I need help either in getting an attorney that will help me with my civil rights case against the Siskiyou County, California Planning Department and their lack of giving me an address when I have an inherent right to an address on property that my trust owns, and that I'm the trustee, and I have an inherent right to live on my claim, or on my property. And the county here is refusing to give me an address. Now, they did help me get some medical supplies shipped to me, and that was Merkle. Merkle is a risk assessment person. She's just an informational gatherer. She gathered up all the information, and she tried to get me an address. And I thank you, Merkle. You're a really decent person that happens to work for the county. I like to say thank you for what you did. But the county is still refusing. The planning department is taking a hardcore stance. They don't have to give me an address without a permit. The permit is a building permit that costs thousands of dollars. They do this to all the poor people around here because, it costs several $1,000s to do a building permit. Well, there's no law saying you can't live on your property and that you don't need a building permit, but you do need an address so that you can move on with living, so you can move on. So when you do want to build a house, you can get a permit, right? I have to do it in stages. They first need to give me an address so I can move forward. And under the ADAA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, they're required to remove barriers. So theoretically, I have two civil rights violations. I can do them in federal court and state court, and I can do two separate trials separately, because I can argue the inherent right to an address as a property owner and an inherent right to live on my property. Or you have an inherent right to an address, because you need an address. And the planning department here, whatever it is, they don't want to give out an address without first extorting money out of you. By the way, under U.S. Title 18, 242, they're depriving me of a right, immunity, and a privilege. By the way, an address isn't a privilege, it's a right. Right? Because all the land has been surveyed in the United States. I could see if they didn't give you an address if you were on unsurveyed land, but hell, there ain't no unsurveyed land in the United States, in California or Oregon. So I don't know what they're talking about, that I don't have a right to an address. They're wrong. I intend to sue them. I could argue it in court if I could get some help with somebody that could help me write up the complaints. I'm not a writer of pleas, but I could get up and argue it in front of court. So if I can't find an attorney to help me with this case, I could sure use a paralegal in helping me file a tort in U.S. federal court here in Siskiyou County to the proper jurisdiction, and state court for violation of my property rights for not giving me an address and basically threatening me to get off, right? Well, this time they didn't order me to get off in the letter, but that's probably coming because the Planning Commission is now, because of the administrative decision, whoever made this decision, it wasn't Merkle. I don't know if it was William Carroll or not. Those are the only two email addresses I have, and they're both administrative processes. So I would like some really good help in writing up those cases. By the way, I would like to file a complaint with the U.S. Attorney's Office as a criminal matter under Title 18, 242, and 241. Those are sections. 241 is conspiracy to commit to deprive somebody of their inherent rights. And so as a ADAA person, meaning that I'm disabled, they have to remove barriers. That's the law. It doesn't specifically state what kind of barrier. They're left open because the barrier might be different for each disabled person. And so, because it's not specifically enumerated, they're saying they don't have to do it. But that's wrong. And I'll get a court judgment against them. Oh, by the way, because I could do two cases, the property rights issue in state court, I can argue it under the inherent right of property as having a granted deed title. And then in federal court, I could argue ADAA for violations of the ADAA and charge them with Title 242 because they're denying me this is civilly, by the way. They could be charged criminally. That depends up to the AG's office, both state and federal, because you can file complaints with them. So, for them to investigate it as a criminal matter. Meanwhile, I could sue the crap out of them. And, for each case, and each defendant that would be involved in it, they would get a county attorney or a attorney provided for their government side. But because those two laws strip them of their immunity, they got to go out and buy their own attorney. Because, see, the county might agree to settle with me. And if they did, well, their employees would be hanged out to dry without an attorney. So, they've been pulling lawfare on me for years through many different government agencies, and I've had enough. I'm not taking it anymore. So, this is a notice to Siskiyou County Planning Department. You declared war on me. I hereby reciprocating. I'm going to commit lawfare on you. And I hope you have $10 million because, well, that's just the retainers for all the lawyers you're going to need. And, I don't think your county attorneys will be able to deal with this. Because, see, you'll need a squad of them. Just ask the Forest Service and the U.S. attorneys. By the way, at my trials, they spend an ocean load of money. Well, get ready for the Siskiyou County to spend 2 oceanfuls of money because, see, I'm going to have them in 2 different jurisdictions. Plus, I might even trigger a criminal investigation against the Siskiyou Planning Department decision maker. Good luck, because you don't have any immunity anymore, and you have a good day.